is Rick Stroud, and he covers the Tampa Bay Buccaneers for the Tampa Bay Times, and he joins us on the program. What the hell happened last night, Rick?
I don't know, but I think it means they're going to win the Super Bowl because the last two times they did that, they got swept by the Saints in the regular season. So, nothing's changed.
But how big is this locally? Because nationally it feels like, all right, just like a aberration. All right, so they had a bad night here. They don't do well against the Saints. Does the sky fall in Tampa when something like this happens?
I think it does from this standpoint. I mean, they lost their top two receivers, right, and their leading running back. So that is not a small thing. I mean, Chris Godwin has a sprained MCL. He's not coming back anytime soon. Some of these guys might be out until the postseason. And now, the seeding they're not going to get the number one seed. So if they make it to the championship game, they're going to have to pack the thermals, go back to Green Bay and do all that over again. This was a pretty seismic loss to a team that has owned them. I mean, Brady's 0-4 in the regular season since he's been here with the Bucs, and they've got the formula on defense to take down this Tampa Bay team.
Antonio Brown is coming back. Why?
Well, so much for the last strike rule, right? It's because the umpire is Tom Brady, right? I mean, Bruce Arians said one more, so it doesn't matter. And what better time to get a receiver back than when you've lost your top two guys? They said they would do what's best for the football team, and that means Antonio Brown, because they're down to him and Brashard Perriman, who was off with the COVID. He's the guy that was the game-winning touchdown in overtime, against the Bills. So really, those are their top two receivers right now. The other guys didn't do anything, and Gronk had maybe one of the worst games I've seen him play. I mean, he had 11 targets, just 2 catches, dropped a ton of footballs. So they're desperate right now for some guys that can catch the ball for Tom Brady.
What's New Orleans do that very few teams, if any other teams, can do to Tom Brady?
Well, what they're able to do is lock down their outside receivers in man coverage. They play really good tight man coverage. Marshawn Lattimore has had a running battle for years with Mike Evans. He does a really good job. So it's a lot of combat catches, a lot of close, tight throws. They're able to rush 4 guys and impact the quarterback. Cam Jordan had an unbelievable day. He seems to do that every time they play. Mario Davis and Quan Alexander are very active. They can blitz them on third down. And then they can play cover 2 with the 2 high safeties, so you don't get anything over the top. So it's really the perfect plan against the Bucs, and they were not executing very well, to say the least.
You got guys who are sore losers, but they say they're ultra competitive. Urban Meyer brought this up in his interview with Ian Rappaport. Tom Brady is not a gracious loser.
No.
Anybody have a problem with that?
Well, probably not because he's such a terrific winner. I mean, he's won more than anybody, but you're right. I mean, barking at Dennis Allen on the sidelines. I think he had intentional grounding on a surface on his own bench and threw one of those down. He is not a guy you want to be around when he loses games. He has said this before that, winning to him now at this stage with the expectations is more of a relief than it is much of a joy. And losing, it just eats at him alive. And I don't want to put him in the Urban Meyer category. I mean, he doesn't walk around like that. He'll get over it pretty well, and he'll focus on the next game. But he's miserable when he loses because he's just not used to doing it.
We had Bruce Arians on last week, and he said that this year was supposed to be the Super Bowl year, not last year. Do you think he still feels that way?
Well, I think he's glad he won one, because it worked out for him. And they wouldn't have gone on the road this year and played in front of half-empty stadiums. I mean, it worked out for them that they were the road team and did that. They brought back the 22 starters, but every year is different, Dan. They were lucky with injuries. They've been decimated in the secondary with it this year. Now you've lost a couple of receivers on offense where they've been pretty healthy all year. So this is why it's so hard to repeat. It's just hard to win one, much less 2. Doesn't matter who your quarterback is, but they're not out of this thing. They'll have a say in the postseason. They need to win one more game. They got the Panthers twice and the Jets in between them. They're going to win the NFC South, I believe. And then they got to hope that they get a home game or 2, and we'll have to go on the road and win a championship.
If I said you had to bet on one, the Buccaneers win the Super Bowl or the Buccaneers lose their first playoff game?
Well, I mean, it's so hard to win a Super Bowl. I would say the first playoff game. And the way it's trending right now, you may see the New Orleans Saints back in Tampa Bay. I mean, you just don't know. They're not out of it either. So depending on the matchup, before this game, it would have been the Washington football team. They've struggled against Tyler Heineke. They lost to him up there in the regular season. They didn't play well in the postseason against them. So anything can happen when you get in these tournaments. But Brady's been pretty good after winning Super Bowls. He's gotten back to a few of them. He's gotten to the championship game almost every time when he's defended one of these. So I think they'll do well in the playoffs. But yeah, just to say they're going to go back to back, that hasn't happened since Tom did it. So I would definitely take the losing in the first round.
Talking to Rick Stroud, he covers the Bucs for the Tampa Bay Times. He broke the Antonio Brown story. Was that a month ago?
Yeah.
How did you hear about it? Or what did you hear at the time about Antonio Brown and his vaccination card?
Well, Antonio Brown has a habit of not paying people that he owes. And that's sort of how it came to us. There was a chef in Los Angeles. He had been part of Antonio's entourage. He was more than his chef. He invited him to live in Tampa. He trusted him with his girlfriend, his car, and his house key. And I wouldn't do that with anybody. But, when he didn't pay him, he tried to collect. He was unsuccessful, but he had a story to tell. And the story was that, Antonio Brown had been seeking and obtained a fake vaccination card. Turned out it was actually 3 players, including John Franklin, who's a free agent. And we know Mike Edwards was involved in that. The Bucs didn't really want to hear about it. These cards are hard to verify, but they were all from a county that's 80 miles north of Tampa. They couldn't get their story straight, Dan, or they would have gotten away with it. Antonio said he went up there by himself. He didn't. Or he did go by himself, and the other guys, would have gone on the same day. That didn't make any sense. So they took their punishment. They took the 3 games rather than make it a longer suspension. And now they're going to be back, and they desperately need them. But it was just Antonio Brown has a history of doing what's in Antonio Brown's best interest. He did not keep the team safe. He got COVID in week 2. That's the thing I think people forget, that he was actually infected with this virus and could have gotten somebody very sick, including a 69-year-old Bruce Arians or an 80-something-year-old Tom Moore. So it was not a good thing.
If Tampa won last night and didn't have injuries to their wide receivers, would Antonio Brown be on the roster today?
I think he would. I think they made that decision. And, Dan, it's just simple. I don't know how else to say this. What Tom Brady wants, he is going to get, so long as he's here. If Tom Brady wants Antonio Brown on the roster, I'm not sure what he would do short of a suspension that would keep him off of it. They owe Tom Brady, right? He put a trophy in their case, almost tossed it in the river, but he gave these guys increases in their salaries, contract extensions. They're indebted to him. The ownership loves him. And, look, he's brought in Gronkowski, Fournette, Antonio Brown. Those are his guys, and they're the ones that helped him win a Super Bowl last year. I think they all caught touchdown passes or scored one. So Tom Brady's running the show here. Make no mistake about it.
Always great to talk to you, Rick. Thank you. Great work on the Antonio Brown story as well.
Thanks, Dan.
That's Rick Stroud, covers the Bucs for the Tampa Bay Times.